earlier this morning when we kicked off with Sucharita, she really set the tone on sustainability and retail. And so bookending our day, we're going to have Lisa Perlmutter, who is SVP of Marketing and Ecommerce at Brilliant Earth, and she is going to talk about what they've been doing as a brand that really has their DNA rooted in sustainability. So I think this is as Sucharita was encouraging everybody to think about this more. I think Lisa will give a lot of ideas for what they've done and how others in retail can think about integrating more sustainability into their brand and the way that they're thinking about interacting with customers. So today, to interview and chat with Lisa, we have Lauren Thomas. Many of you know Lauren. She's the retail reporter for CNBC. She keeps us informed on all the big stories happening in retail. So please join Lisa and Lauren to come on up.
Thank you for the warm welcome. Again, my name is Lauren, cover the retail industry for CNBC, joined here today with Lisa Perlmutter, the SVP of Marketing and E-commerce at Brilliant Earth. For those of you who do not know what Brilliant Earth is, a jewelry brand, ethically sourced, really a brand that's meant for the conscious consumer, but I'm gonna let Lisa kind of tell you a bit more about Brilliant Earth's mission statement. Again, to play off what Scott was saying, about sustainability, I know that's kind of core to Brilliant Earth's ethos and your values and kind of how you serve consumers. So would love for you to start by walking us through, what that means exactly for the business.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lauren. First of all, I have to acknowledge, I know we're the last speakers before alcohol, so we totally value that and value people's time. So I'm Lisa, and I think Sucharita, thank you, Scott, for setting that up, set it up so well that sustainability, it's not an opportunity. This is table stakes now. It's table stakes in the jewelry industry. It's table stakes in retail. It's just, frankly, table stakes for our planet. And in the jewelry industry, it's interesting. Consumers, they want beautiful designs. They want amazing metals, diamonds, gemstones, and they're really demanding. They know where everything's coming from now, and really, and as they should, and they're looking for brands that are really focused on sustainability.
And why, obviously the business, and we were chatting a little bit backstage beforehand, has been around for 17 years since its founding. Like, when do you think that shift really started? Because that certainly hasn't always been the case, with diamonds and jewelry, and maybe you could give us some of that backstory too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the co-founders founded the company 17 years ago. I've been talking to a few people. It's a brand you probably hadn't heard of until recently. We're changing that clearly. And when they founded it, it was really at a time when the industry was ripe for change. For those of you who are old enough and remember the movie Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio, if people remember that, consumers and the world wanted to know where diamonds were coming from. Diamonds should be ethically sourced. There should be no humans shouldn't suffer so that people can wear diamonds. And the industry was really ripe. And the founders really took hold. They really wanted to find a way to offer not only what was becoming more standard in the market, which is known as the Kimberley process, but really go beyond conflict-free. And so they went beyond conflict-free to say, we're gonna know exactly where the diamonds are coming from, we're gonna make sure they're ethically sourced, and we're gonna track it. Fast forward now, 17 years is a really long time ago, and now it's really about sustainability. One of the worst things we can do for our planet is actually mine gold. So one of the things we're very focused on is making sure we're using almost all recycled gold. That's a little known fact people don't talk about. I know Sucharita really focused on fashion brands, and I think it's really interesting to look at that. And so, when I think about consumer sentiment, I'm really proud I work for a business that we're mission driven. We've been mission driven from the beginning. I love that we're on a mission to change the industry from within, and really making sure people understand where their products are coming from. So.
Yeah, and to build on that, I feel like there's so much talk, and there are studies that kind of show sustainability and a younger generation of consumers that really gravitate toward brands that speak that, and that really show that, and prove that within the business. But I'm curious, if that's the case, when you think of your core customer and who that is, and how you might first reach a consumer and kind of bring them into the Brilliant Earth network, so to speak. But and also your marketing, how do you kind of cater to that core customer through your marketing as well?
Yeah, I would say our core customer is, around the 25 through 40, the Millennial Gen Z. I mean, I can kind of like spout off what all of us are probably saying at this conference, who our core customers are. They are conscious, but as I've said at the beginning, like this is table stakes now. Mm-hmm. Like you talk to any person under a certain age, and I missed the presentation where the Gen Z took questions. Hopefully people got good stuff from that panel. I thought that was an amazing idea. Yeah. But we really are focused on making sure that we want all sorts of customers, and this certain demo between Gen Z, millennial, they're conscious. We want to offer a broad range of price points. Mm-hmm. We want to offer a broad range of products and make sure we're really inclusive. Mm-hmm. And speaking of inclusive, I can't help but brag. We were one of the first jewelry brands to come out with a fully inclusive line, mm-hmm. or rings for everyone, including inclusive sizing, rings for everyone, regardless of gender. And that's how we build our brand, and want to continue to.
When did that come out? Is that fairly recent?
It came out a few years ago, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. For sure, ahead of the, I feel like I remember, I won't name names, but
yes.
Another company do that recently, but it sounds like you were ahead of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to pivot a bit and get into what has been a very big issue and topic of conversation within the retail industry more broadly, supply chain, and a lot of obstacles that companies have faced during the pandemic along different points of time, along the supply chain. Being a business that is, ethically sourced and kind of has this sustainability at its core, have these supply chain complications made it all the more difficult to stay true to that?
Yeah. I would knock on wood if there was wood here, but we hadn't seen the issues in our supply chain that other kinds of industries were. Mm-hmm. First, because we have extremely deep integrations with our vendors and suppliers, being around for 17 years. That sort of lets you have that lucky moment. And I would say all of our suppliers and vendors signed a very strict code of conduct. Mm-hmm. We also have a compliance team that makes sure that we understand exactly what is happening on the ground within those suppliers and vendors. And so, when COVID hit and some of the supply chain issues hit, we were lucky in that we could pivot from different kind of vendors and suppliers within this chain. Mm-hmm. We're also really inventory light. And so by being inventory light, we were able to kind of react quickly to business changes that we saw. Obviously, we all saw and endured. Right. But luckily, we haven't been impacted by the supply chain issues that have been going on. So.
Right. So it's not you were saying earlier, not a bulky piece of furniture.
Yes. It also does help that our products are quite small or quite
lightweight. Well, depending, on carat and
yes, we are not shipping bicycles. That is a fair point.
Exactly. Something else I was just thinking about too, your business strategy in terms of reaching the consumer, and I was thinking about the pandemic, and having such a massive presence online, right? And maybe we could get into that quickly. You have a number of showrooms, I don't know the exact count, including one in New York City in the Flatiron neighborhood. But again, you have really created this online shopping experience for a category that maybe hasn't always been really present online in a way that makes it really easy to browse, and also a way that you trust as a consumer buying something that's fairly pricey, right? And not getting to touch and feel it. So if you could talk about the evolution of that, and particularly during the pandemic, maybe how you benefited in certain ways.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the jewelry industry is hyper fragmented. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is between independents, your uncle who owns a jewelry store, your cousin who can buy you a diamond, it's highly fragmented. You have a lot of jewelry companies, you have department stores, mm-hmm. big box retailers. Mm-hmm. Only we only see like one company that has even a 4% market share.
Wow.
So because of that, the jewelry category in particular has been really, really slow to adopt to digital, to e-commerce, just sort of in general. And so, when the company was founded being digital first, that was a real win. And so I guess, helping consume, I have this joke where it's like, if my parents can get groceries delivered during COVID, people can start buying diamond jewelry online, right? And so how do you put the right information and the right understanding of diamond education, gemstone education, all of that in front of the consumer? And so we've really invested in those systems actually since the founding. So we've been really lucky.
Yeah.
Back to our showrooms, we're opening our 20th showroom.
Oh, wow. 20
next week.
Yeah.
We're really excited about that, and we have a line of sight. I think we have 15 more in the pipeline for this year. So
yeah. I would imagine as they've opened up too, or again with COVID and no more protocols in place, very busy, especially during this wedding boom that's also kind of taking place. We haven't touched on that, but I would imagine that's been a boon to business as well.
Most weddings we're seeing in 20 years. In case anyone didn't know, it's the year of the wedding.
Yes,
it's a huge year of the wedding event. Most of our showrooms, you can either book appointments beforehand or do walk-ins, which has been great for our brand. And we do see whenever we open a showroom, that location, that area just sees an overall lift.
Nice. I wanted to mention too, and for those of you who aren't aware, so Brilliant Earth is a publicly traded company now, IPO'd fairly recently. September. I've covered a few of their, the quarterly earnings results already, and I'm wondering, throughout that process, if you can speak to this, how you've kind of educated. One, just that community of investors and kind of Wall Street community. Also, has it just helped, and you kind of teased at this earlier, maybe it's helped raise awareness and get the brand in front of people that weren't previously aware of Brilliant Earth. And then the third thing, if it's just changed anything, about how you all operate.
Yeah, so if Beth was here, our CEO, she would tell you, so I'll use her quote, that it's just really been an evolution of the company, not a revolution. It's really just been a kind of a part of the journey of the growth. So I'll answer that part first. The second part, how it's changed the business. My team, it doesn't change our day-to-day. Our day-to-day is, making sure we're doing right by our consumers, we're doing right by the brand, we're finding new ways to innovate, we're finding, new opportunities. We're looking at the business daily, monthly, long-term goals. So, in the day-to-day business that's running, it really hasn't changed. And then thirdly, I would say it was a nice brand pop, though, right?
For sure.
It's a nice opportunity for the brand and really a moment. So
yeah, no, it's always interesting to hear, how that process in and of itself, taking a company public, how that can just change, kind of get the brand out there in front of different audience. Going back to, again, kind of sustainability, if that, I feel like sometimes there's talk of how that can just be more expensive undertaking. Maybe there are additional costs that certain brands take on. And so I'm curious if there are certain trade-offs. Again, thinking more about the financials of the business and being a public business now, kind of shareholders that you're accountable toward. But yeah, if there are just certain trade-offs, or if you all have found ways to kind of navigate around that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good question. I think that look, we think about sustainability from very small myopic choices, meaning our DMs are on recycled paper and recyclable, right? Even small changes like that are important within our business. And then it's vendor selection. It's making sure, something other brands might not always think about is even your packaging, the packaging comes in, making sure that's not using, single-use plastics. It's sort of a mentality shift and a complete change within the business. We do make trade-offs. Sustainability is a really important core goal for us. So there is, there can be financial implications, and that is important to us as a brand, and that's important for our long-term viability. And, to really put a really bring this home is my bonus is tied to our ESG goals. Okay. All of our executives' bonuses are tied to our ESG goals. And that is really compelling, right? That really makes you care a lot about it. And not that we all needed another way to care, but I think that's just it's been a really great mind shift change and a forcing function for all of us.
Definitely. No, and since you brought it up, good segue into maybe you could walk us through what some of those goals are. I think you mentioned earlier that you put out a sustainability report, and I know that you've set some goals for the future and the coming years that the business hopes to achieve.
Yes. Okay, so I don't want to get any of this wrong. So hang on, let me just grab my notes. So, and we
gotta have
the biggest goal we have is right now we're at 92% recycled metal. By 2023, we want to be at 100% recycled metal.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like much, but that's actually a really big share shift.
Yeah.
We want to eliminate all single-use plastics in our showroom and corporate office by 2025. Again, it doesn't sound like a big change, but it is. We're really proud of it. And we want to have and achieve zero waste in our showrooms and corporate spaces by 2030. Those are some of our highlights. You can look at our sustainability report anytime you want on our website as well. And we really set big, kind of audacious goals, and we really chip away at them every year.
And how, you mentioned the compensation, tying that back, I guess, to those goals. Any other ways that you think the business can kind of hold itself accountable, or maybe Beth holds everyone accountable?
It's funny, the people that are drawn to work for our business, they are, first of all, just an amazing team that the team has built, just an amazing team, but also like everyone's passionate about this. So there isn't really forcing functions needed.
Sure.
It's more just, hey, these are our ESG goals. And by the way, our ESG goals include more than sustainability.
Sure.
It's making sure everything's ethically sourced. It's, making sure we have an inclusive environment. It's making sure we really focus on BIPOC. So, the team that we hire, they're already focused on that, and they want to work for a brand that that's what's important to us.
Right. It's making me think of this really interesting dynamic of your Brilliant Earth included, but you have a number of other younger brands, whether it's like an Allbirds, make shoes, or like Vuori athletic apparel, that have been started more recently, and from the ground from the ground up, then they're able to build their business kind of with these goals in that blueprint, so to speak. Then you have these legacy companies that over the years, more recently, you've been watching them try to make this shift and come up with these goals, and have sustainability reports and things of that nature to kind of keep pace with what you all are doing. I feel like your companies in a way set the tone for the rest of this maybe more archaic industry to follow suit. I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that divide as you see it kind of play out, particularly when sustainability is just more top of mind?
Yeah, I think moving for larger, more established brands, I think change is hard, right? It's always harder to change a large ship, and I think some of these new D2C companies, it's one of the reasons they're resonating so much and really succeeding, is because that's been at the heart of who they are.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's interesting to watch. Maybe here's a more fun question. I know you recently launched.
Sustainability's fun.
I know. This, a product question. I guess I should have said. You recently launched a new men's collection. Wanted to ask you about that and any other recent product innovation that's really helping kind of drive momentum within the business.
Yeah, so we launched a new men's fine jewelry product line right before Father's Day. We've always sold men's wedding bands, but we launched this men's fine jewelry category. And in fact, there was so much demand. Customers were finding products that we actually thought were hidden on our website before we marketed them, and they were buying them. So that showed a lot of nice pent-up demand for the category.
Yeah.
So we're excited about men's fine jewelry. We're excited, as we think about international, obviously our omni-channel growth. On the technology side, and I'll nerd out for like one quick second, in addition to, and I can wax poetic about how amazing our diamond selectors are and our quizzes, but something we're using technology for, we use the blockchain to make sure we understand exactly where our diamonds have come from mine and all the way until we sell them. I think we have over 10,000 now on our natural side.
Oh, wow.
And we find that that's a good way to trace and make sure that we really, really are showing our traceability of our products.
Yeah.
And then on the technology side, we're doing a test in one of the metaverses. I know I saw a few breakout panels that I'll attend, So we're selling a diamond line within Zepeto, which is a metaverse.
Oh wow, no, that's a new one.
Yeah, we're testing and learning how that's going.
Yeah, no, I like hearing how the blockchain can be employed in that way. I feel like some of the use cases don't make as much sense to me personally, but to kind of keep track of sourcing definitely seems like a viable use case. Maybe in with one more forward-looking, bigger picture question, kind of a prediction. As you think about the jewelry industry more broadly, and the next 5 years, we'll give like a 5-year horizon timeline, what is like the biggest change or shift that you expect to happen kind of within that space?
Let's see. I would say, I would think more jewelers and jewelry companies are going to think more about using recycled precious metals. They're going to think about traceability, because customers are going to demand to know where gemstones and diamonds are coming from.
Sure.
And I do think that, and this isn't just lip service, I think that's just where customer sentiment is going. And I think that it's a forcing function for these larger jewelry companies to do that. So I think that that's one. And then personalization. I think just hyper-personalization is going to continue.
Definitely.
And what people want, and having unique products and unique products designed for them.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing for anyone that's been on the website, all the options and you can really start from scratch. And I feel like, just a few years back, that was not the case. So it's pretty incredible. Well, thank you for everyone who stuck around, and thank you
for everyone who stayed before cocktails.
I know. Thank you so much.